Sweet. Sweet. Ooh, sorry, I don't mean to blow into the microphone. I know how annoying that can be when I watch videos and somebody doesn't have their microphone placed correctly. It bugs me. So, sorry about that. It is Friday morning, the end of week 6, heading into week 7, and we are on the downward slope of this class. And I really enjoyed, which I generally do, reading the discussions that you all do. The one about passwords and security, and just having you understand some concepts like password strength and that there are services out there. I'm not advocating, and I want to be clear, I'm not advocating using them. I just want you to know they exist. It is really up to you to do the research to understand it. I personally have grown more confident. Therefore, I use the Google Chrome password saving system. And what I love about it, it's gotten good enough to where it also works on the mobile side. Before it was only websites, and now when I install a new app, which I try not to do, but still it happens, that is something that can also handle those as well. So I like it. Anyway, this week, week 7, right? Week 7. I'm actually going to release, so sorry, changing topics for a minute here, or moving on maybe, is I'm going to release the rest of the course. Okay, which means I'm going to just briefly talk about the final today. I will talk about the end of the semester schedule. I'll talk about late work today. But first, before I do all that, and when I say late work, I mean end of semester late work, because that deadline is final, meaning once that date passes for all work, nothing else can be submitted. So I want you to know now, because I don't want you and I to get in a situation where you're like, hey, I need another day, because this is why I want to be clear about the requirements and the timeline for the end of the semester. So let's take a look. Okay, so week 7, which we're heading into, is my favorite topic. Okay, I keep saying that, but really it is, because it's the thing that I teach. And I actually talked about this. Like, these mini lectures and video resources, I definitely think are worth watching, because even if you are not someone that's thinking of doing coding, and the question might come up, well, what is coding? There's such a variety of things. Like, anytime you touch a website, somebody coded that: HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and other things that you wouldn't even know based on having some knowledge about what happens on the browser. But there's also, anytime you have an app, right? At this point in time in our world, anything, 99% of what you use on your phone or your computer has been coded by somebody. And that profession is really growing. And even if it's not your profession, it is good to know. I find other benefits to doing it. But here's what I want to say. And this is a shameless plug, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like, next semester, I teach Intro to Web Development. I teach JavaScript. I teach Python. Okay, those are all 3 of those classes. This is a 9-week, 3-unit class. These are 18-week, 4-unit classes. You learn, in this case, JavaScript, in this case, Python. These are, by the way, 2 of the most popular programming languages in the world today. So it's fun for me. Also, a little bit of a challenge to teach both, but I'm up for that. So if you're interested, please let me know. Like, I love to talk to students about this, but just want you to consider this, because maybe it's not something, and I should probably come back here. Maybe it's not necessarily something you're interested in, but maybe somebody maybe somebody younger, maybe somebody. It doesn't have to be younger, right? Because I've coded a lot of my professional career in some way or the other. But at this point, I'm actually taking on more coding teaching than I've ever done before, teaching code. Let me do it that way. So, and no matter what job you have, having an understanding of code may come in handy. I've definitely noticed that this is true. So, I want to tell you that just I want you to know that that is true. Okay. All right. So that's the first item that we have for week 7. I just wanted to say a word about it. And then in week 7, let me just roll up week 6 since we're finishing up right now. Okay. And then the other, okay, so that's Monday night. And by the way, next week is a holiday, right? So next week, if we look at the calendar, is Thanksgiving. So your Thursday night items, and this is, I believe I said this before, but let me formally say it now. I'm not going to change the due date, but you can absolutely submit them over that weekend when we get to, and let's just actually do that because I think that's important, right? So let's go look at the calendar because at this point, right, we're at the Friday before the holiday, right? So let me actually change it to your class. That's my Python class right now. So for this course, I'm just going to take it a minute to come in, right? There are items showing up for next Thursday night. So should you get them done? I think you should get them done before the holiday. But if you don't, I just want to tell you that I will wake up the 29th and I will then at that point, of course, grade anything that's been submitted over the weekend. And then you will have, and then you will have other work due that night. So that's a lot of stacking of work to do. I just want to say, yeah. So, and then look at this. We have, I need to make sure these are actually in the right order. I was just looking at that, so I'll double check on that. But anyway, I just wanted to say that yes, you can submit those. And the other discussion we have is about choosing a class based on, data. And there's some interesting ways to research this. So, give this some thought. Also, rate your professor. You have to kind of go take a little bit of grain of salt with rate my professor because sometimes don't count one reply, look at all the replies, but also our institutional research. I just want to make sure that link is good. Yeah, so there is, let me just double check. I'll double check this too. Schedule of courses, data dashboard, right? To be actually able to look at some of this information. Okay, so choosing a class based, using data to choose a class is a really good exercise. Okay, so that's week 7. And then rolling into week 8 after Thanksgiving, right? So this is, and I've opened it up. Matter of fact, let me just go ahead and do it right now. I've already done this, right? Because at this point on week, and I always like, some of you catch me on this one. I really appreciate. So now that we're here, you do have to reply, right? So if you're into week 7, I think I had one student 7 who got in here a little early. Good for you. But just know, don't reply until the video's there. I normally set it up that way, but sometimes it just happens. I forget. So now on this day, right, you can't actually, you can just view and continue on because the thing is, I'm telling you, definitely you want to make sure, if possible, you're working ahead. So the week after, which week 8, right? You have that lab test for access that I've been talking about for you Mac users. It is here. So you definitely coming into week 7 want to make sure you have Microsoft Access somewhere and you've done that setup that I've talked about because it is way important. As a matter of fact, I think I will just copy that link back into the attendance for week 7 as well. And then social media is, well, actually, I'll wait because I'm going to do a video about this, but I just kind of want to flow through some of these. And then the last discussion is actually on course feedback, which I really appreciate your feedback. And then we're doing PowerPoint as the last two, and we don't have a lab test on PowerPoint. And then in week 9, we have a JavaScript where you're going to do a little bit of coding. That video is from me for all students taking 15. So I'll talk about that. But here's what I'm really here to talk about is that your final is due, okay, on the 9th. Now, I wouldn't wait, but if you do, I just want to tell you, I have released it into availability in my IT lab. So, and here's the part, like, and I want you to I want to get your head around this. Like what you've been doing is taking quizzes, right, in Canvas. But for the final, you'll actually take this in my IT lab and report it like you do other things. So it's 150 questions worth 150 points. So what you want to do here, I'll go into exams just to show you, like up until this point, what you've seen is all the lab tests. And of course, this is where our final lab test, as I was talking about before, and this is PC only, right? That's why Mac students, you got to figure that out. Again, I've helped, but this is where the final is located. So you'll take the final here, right? I just submitted it so I could make sure it worked the way I thought. And then just FYI, it's one question at a time, 150 questions. Okay. Um, it's going to pop up here. You can save it. You can start it. You can save it. Right, you can save it for later. 150 questions. You can take it multiple times, but if it was me, I'd probably just take it once. Do know it is randomly selecting questions out of all the question banks that we have gone over for this class. Okay, so then once you're done, you submit it, and then you create that PDF like you've done for any of the other lab tests. But I just want you to know, right, that this is available for you to look at. So the other thing is, and let's just move back to the calendar just so I can chat about that. Let me see right here. I'm just going to make sure. I think I have the dates a little off. So by the time you get here, I will have, because this JavaScript is actually, I believe, due here. Yeah, I think I had that in the wrong one. And that last, yep, that looks right. That looks right. Okay, I think that was the only one that was wrong. So at this point, Thursday night, right, will be the last point at which you can submit the final. And it's also the last point, really, when I wake up Friday morning, that you can do any late work. And I, again, would not wait until the end, because then you're just trying, to rush through it. And I want you to understand that. So I want you to understand, last time you can submit late work, last time you could submit the final is on December 9th. I will post grade first thing after I can get everything settled in on Friday the 10th, okay, for you to look at. But the sooner you finish this, and if you're like in between an A and a B, or a C and, a B and a C or lower, you want to know where that score's at, and waiting until the last minute just puts you in a situation you don't want to be in, right? Because there's no slippage on this late date for work and on this final. Okay, once that we cross over into that morning, we're done. Okay, so here's what I want to say. Next week, let me just bring you back here. Next week, what I'm going to talk about is something I hope most of you know, but if you don't, there is a way through Canvas to ask the what if question. Okay. What if I do some late work, right? What if also I do some future work, right? And actually that's a little easier, because as you submit it and I grade it, then you'll see what your score is. Now, your score in this course will be once all the work has been graded. And by the way, that means once the due dates pass and I put a grade in, or you submit it, right? Once everything is, that grade is the grade you get for the course. But I want to show you how you can ask the what if, because I often get students asking me, Rio, what do I need to do to get this grade or that grade in your class? And you can answer this question all on your own through Canvas. I'm going to cover it next week, but I just want you to have that heads up. Okay, so here we are at week 7. Heading into week 8, I've released week 8, week 7, week 8, week 9, right? I've set up the final for you to, if you want to work ahead, which there are definitely a couple of you who are working ahead, and I think it definitely serves you if you can. I mean, we're coming into the holiday. I definitely, if you could, and I know it's hard during the holidays, right? I mean, part of the reason I try to get everything submitted is so that I can take a break. So obviously you have a choice. And I've said too much too soon. Anyway, what's my question for you? Here's my question for you is, do you understand the timeline for the end of the semester? And do you have any questions at this point? This would be the time to ask me. And Mac students, do you have access, Microsoft Access? And if not, do you have somebody that you can go to their place and do the lab test? It's coming in week 8. Okay. That's it. Happy Friday. Have a good weekend. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way.